The key issue for me was I needed to scale. There's only one of me. I can only do so many workshops and live events in a year. And we have some digital programs, and I wanted to learn how to sell those in the education space.
I had already been through several accelerator programs. We had the beginnings of product market fit, and I wanted to figure out exactly how to nail the go-to-market strategy.
Parents we talked to and told them about the solution that we've come up with, every one of them is ready to bang down the door wanting to subscribe to it. We couldn't get that same message across to the EdTech apps that we need to integrate with and the schools that we needed to pilot with. And so it was super frustrating, a lot of banging our heads against the wall.
It comes back down to being able to predict a cash flow. So the workshop season is very seasonal, really nice in the spring, really nice in the fall, but how are we going to build that consistency through the year?
What investors want to see is they want to see a replicable go-to-market strategy that can grow and scale. And I think a sales engine is a huge piece of that. And so to have a thought partner, a coach who could help us refine that, that was extremely appealing to me.
I didn't have a presence online. There was no LinkedIn profile. I mean, I had a LinkedIn page, but there was no banner, there were no hashtags, there wasn't even an About Us section. And if we're entering into pitch competitions or accelerator programs or trying to get customers or trying to get schools or whoever it might be, one of the first places they're going to look is LinkedIn. And if they saw my page, they weren't going to take us very seriously. And that was where I really needed the help and what made me turn to Ed Sales Elevation Experience.
One of the first things we took away in those first couple of weeks, realizing that it wasn't about selling ourselves in a uncomfortable or violating way at all. It had everything to do with authentic human build. And that's really what we saw some results in relatively quickly.
We started hitting LinkedIn really hard. I'm updating my headline, that we workshopped, and I'm like adding some descriptions and treating LinkedIn more like a sales page and trying to post more often. Fast forward 2 months of doing that really hard work, I got invited to sit on a panel at DC Startup Week. Fast forward to now, approximately 6 months later, new conversations with leads that have gone cold just because they've realized our train is moving because of all the things that we're posting online, and it makes them want to get on board.
The impact was felt right away because the very first session, we talked about the ideal client for us, and we really made a lot of progress right away.
You were the only person talking about leads in the education sector and having a system to just have leads on repeat. We had certain breakfasts, like certain superintendent PD days where we would go in and lead a presentation, and that worked. The challenge is they're sporadic, they're infrequent. It's not something you could do on a daily or weekly basis. And also cold emails, reaching out. It's just, how do you break through that inbox of hundreds of emails that principals get? And so that was something that spoke to me about the program and some of the challenges we were having before. And I think your strategy with LinkedIn is just much smarter and much more effective.
The other thing that I think happened in the first few weeks was realizing that there was a system that we could tap into. And having a system allows us to build habits, and building habits and repeating those behaviors builds confidence.
I think without having that system in place, I feel like it's a balancing act. You're constantly having to figure out how to get the leads while also focus on other areas to grow the business and focus on all the other things as an entrepreneur. So to have a repeat, reliable system in place is, I think, crucial and gives more peace of mind as a business owner.
You are looking right at education companies, and that's huge. Like, I don't know anybody else out there who's doing that. And that's obviously, as an ed tech company, that's obviously what we needed.
All the work we did in our LinkedIn profiles just continues to grow and pay off. I do feel like an authority. My LinkedIn is growing by dozens of people a day, which is amazing. So all this stuff is building and building and building. It feels really cool.
You helped us bust some myths, right? Like the myth of sales has to be like diminishing, and you have to like put yourself in like a couture gold gown and step forward with glass slippers. And no, that's not how it is. It's like learning how to be present and build awareness around your brand, learning how to have those conversations.
The signature solution, because that was such a game changer for me, but like the stuff before it was a game changer too, like the raise your hand interview, we were building, we were going somewhere.
The process of formulating the signature solution led to clearer messaging and enabled us to resonate with even more buyers. So of 6 people we might talk to, each 6 might pick out a different thing that's important to them, but we resonate with all of them because they're all in our signature solution.
There was a big conference coming up, ERDI, with superintendents all discussing innovations in education. And I thought to myself, hey, this could be an opportunity to look at the signature solution and share it and see what feedback I get. We had one superintendent say, hey, I like that. We had another one take out their phone and take a picture of the signature solution. A lot of them just leaned in and were really, it kind of made the vision clear about what we were doing and gave them a sense of certainty that we had all the pieces along the way that made this a different process to get the outcome that we wanted, and something that they couldn't replicate on their own. So I think it's efficient because it shows the different parts of the process, and it shows the transformation that's happening at each stage. And based upon their feedback to that page, it lets us hone in on where they're really interested or what they want more clarification on.
What I didn't realize I was signing up for is like, you're signing up to be in this amazing community, and it's a community of people who are at all different places in their businesses, and everyone's really supportive.
That cohort that we had was amazing. Right off the bat, Josh, even in the first few weeks, you know how it takes time for a group to kind of bond and kind of get to know each other, and there's a safety and a trust that needs to be established. You establish that really quickly.
Like it's having that ability to network with like-minded individuals, hold each other accountable, encourage whatever people need. For me, this was the perfect fit because I needed that accountability. Like it's phenomenal.
Running a business is really hard, and it's
Without having that system in place, I feel like it's a balancing act. You're constantly having to figure out how to get the leads while also focus on other areas to grow the business and focus on all the other things as an entrepreneur. So to have a repeat, reliable system in place is, I think, crucial and gives more peace of mind as a business owner.
You are looking right at education companies, and that's huge. Like, I don't know anybody else out there who's doing that. And that's obviously, as an ed tech company, that's obviously what we needed.
All the work we did in our LinkedIn profiles just continues to grow and pay off. I do feel like an authority. My LinkedIn is growing by dozens of people a day, which is amazing. So all this stuff is building and building and building. It feels really cool.
You helped us bust some myths, right? Like the myth of sales has to be like diminishing, and you have to like put yourself in like a couture gold gown and step forward with glass slippers. And no, that's not how it is. It's like learning how to be present and build awareness around your brand, learning how to have those conversations.
The signature solution, because that was such a game changer for me, but like the stuff before it was a game changer too, like the raise your hand interview, we were building, we were going somewhere.
The process of formulating the signature solution led to clearer messaging and enabled us to resonate with even more buyers. So of 6 people we might talk to, each 6 might pick out a different thing that's important to them, but we resonate with all of them because they're all in our signature solution.
There was a big conference coming up, ERDI, with superintendents all discussing innovations in education. And I thought to myself, hey, this could be an opportunity to look at the signature solution and share it and see what feedback I get. We had one superintendent say, hey, I like that. We had another one take out their phone and take a picture of the signature solution. A lot of them just leaned in and were really, it kind of made the vision clear about what we were doing and gave them a sense of certainty that we had all the pieces along the way that made this a different process to get the outcome that we wanted, and something that they couldn't replicate on their own. So I think it's efficient because it shows the different parts of the process, and it shows the transformation that's happening at each stage. And based upon their feedback to that page, it lets us hone in on where they're really interested or what they want more clarification on.
What I didn't realize I was signing up for is like, you're signing up to be in this amazing community, and it's a community of people who are at all different places in their businesses, and everyone's really supportive.
That cohort that we had was amazing. Right off the bat, Josh, even in the first few weeks, you know how it takes time for a group to kind of bond and kind of get to know each other, and there's a safety and a trust that needs to be established. You establish that really quickly.
Like it's having that ability to network with like-minded individuals, hold each other accountable, encourage whatever people need. For me, this was the perfect fit because I needed that accountability. Like it's phenomenal.
Running a business is really hard and it's lonely. And so they offer you a group of people who are going through the same thing that you can lean on, that you can ask questions to, that can support you, and that you can support and you can give advice to. That type of collegiality among CEOs is invaluable because there's really not a lot of other places to get that.
This program stands out for me because the community that's being built, the authenticity and the ability to challenge and soundboard beyond just the program itself. That was a big reason why I also signed up. So Josh, thank you for making the space and for going beyond what a typical program offers.
We got invited to a career fair last minute, and then at that fair met 2 more people who looked at our product and they were like, we need this. Let's talk.
Pre-3E, I had never been on a podcast before, had not written an article for an education magazine, but post-3E, this is 4th or 5th podcast I've been on, and it's a very short period since we finished the course and now. 4 to 5 podcasts plus this article that was published in a magazine.
I can't imagine I would have gotten to that place without having gone through the course. And it all goes back into just systematizing and automating a little bit.
No integrations prior to doing the 3E course. And we should have 20 integrations after this meeting today. Going from 0 to 20 is huge. We had 0 schools who were interested in piloting for us. We now have 2 who are showing interest and are talking to us about starting that pilot program in the fall. So, those 3 right there are huge.
We had about 10 meetings since the cohort ended with superintendents or principals where we're sharing the signature solution. And we received positive feedback in each of those. And we're in the process of enrolling our first district outside of New York, just across the country. We're looking at different markets. And so we're in that place to expand. And one of them is close to happening.
Your program allowed me to help me generate leads in a way that was authentic.
I'm really grateful that I took the EdSales Elevation experience because I feel like I got to start my business on the right foundation. By thinking about and writing the signature solution, it gave me such a wonderful platform for building up. And so I'm still building up, but I feel so much more confident about where I'm going. I just feel like I'm going in the right direction from the very beginning, which is going to be such a time saver, money saver, headache saver overall that I'm grateful for that.
We had so many improvements, and I left with actual feedback that we then translated to our digital assets, which I then presented in front of hundreds of people to great success.
Not trying to sound overly dramatic, but if we hadn't have done the EdSales Elevation experience, I'm not sure we would be around right now. And instead of going from where we were, where you're starting to have some tough conversations, to where we are now, I feel like we are just about at the top because of the position that 3E has put us in terms of improving our messaging, improving our storytelling, improving our confidence, improving our ability to become thought leaders in the space, and just getting out there with various materials that we didn't have before that have helped us close deals and lock in interested parties. It was a big deal.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the evening edition of our masterclass. And I can tell you that this is a special evening edition and probably the last evening edition that we'll do, because I think from now on, we're going to do one masterclass. We put so much effort into these masterclasses. Weeks of planning goes into these masterclasses. And, our team is exhausted. We're excited, but we're exhausted. Our team, Alvin, Ken, Samya, Areli, Maiko, and Kim, excited and exhausted. Alvin, I'm assuming we are live. So if you can tell me in the private chat that we are live, I will begin to rev up the engines here. Everybody who's out there on the other side, if you can tell us where you are, talk to us about your business, because many of the people who are joining right now are in the education space. We want to get people networking. So in the chat, who you are, LinkedIn profile, and also, of course, your business. And we're going to get going here in a couple minutes. For now, I want to let everybody know that hopefully you're in the right place here. It's 7 o'clock in the East, and this is now the second time that we've done this masterclass in the East. I have done this masterclass many, many times in Mexico, but I am now in Washington, D.C. As you guys probably know, if you've followed me in my career, over the last couple of years, I've spent most of my time in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. And right now, we have moved our family back here to Washington, D.C. permanently. And it's a wonderful place, despite what some people might say about D.C. It's a wonderful place. And so I'm getting ready here for our masterclass. We're going to kick it off here in a few moments. If you can, we're going to try and get folks to get talking. We had about 49 people this morning in our masterclass, and that was pretty exciting. And they were all chatting. So if you want to be chatty like them, that's cool. Or if you want to sit back, that's fine as well. But what we would love to see in the chat, where you are, who you are, and your business in the education space. A couple of other things. We have created, hey, Jeff, we have created a special link for people to book on my calendar who are joining the masterclass. So my team is going to put in periodically the link to join and meet with me. It's a special meeting. It is the priority for people. LaToya, nice to meet you. We had a wonderful talk last week. I know you've got a cool, very impactful tutoring company that you're starting up there in Louisiana. So we're going to put up a link to a special meeting request, and that will get priority in my schedule. And it'll be 20 minutes, and really it's designed for us to talk to people about the Ed Sales Elevation experience. Also, tomorrow we have a LinkedIn Live at 1 o'clock. And in that LinkedIn Live, we're going to have Robert Martellacci. He's the king of Canadian EdTech. He's going to join us, and he's going to talk about the Ed Sales Elevation experience. He's also going to talk about his summit that's coming up in October in Toronto. And we're going to talk about Kevin Shavis because we just released a show with Kevin Shavis. So it is now time for us to get rocking and rolling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to bring up our deck. This is where you get to see some of the sausage making in the background. There we go. I'm going to move to presenter mode. I know my team loves that I narrate this whole thing for everybody. And now we are in full screen mode. Alvin, Ken, if somebody can confirm that I did that correctly, that we're in full screen mode, I would appreciate it. And then we will get this show on the road. What we are here to do is to talk about the 5-step sales plan for education founders to generate leads before winter break and beyond. It's really important for me to emphasize that, because if you have been to our masterclass before, you know that we're always talking lead gen. What we've done is we have taken some of the portions of that masterclass, but we've really made, and I mean today, because today it is time to begin thinking about how you can close some of those deals that went cold over the summer. Some of those deals you can't close over the summer, you might still be able to close. And we're going to start talking about what you should do to make sure you have a fantastic 2020, because the planning for that starts now. I have to say, my team makes. If you would like this deck, we will share it with you. We are happy to. We're going to share the replay with you of this talk. But if you want it, please ask. Just don't take. Now, fall, as I said, is not just another quarter. It is the final sprint of the year. This is your chance to close some of those deals that didn't close over the summer, and we've all got them. I've got them myself. And this is your chance to make sure you plant the seeds now so that you start having conversations in January, February, and March, so that you start closing deals in April, May, and June, so that you have a phenomenal fall of 2026. Yes, I'm already talking about fall of 2026. This masterclass is about the opportunity for you to stop chasing leads, to stop waiting on referrals, and to start booking qualified calls consistently. The most important part about what I just said is qualified calls consistently. We want you to get the right calls booked in your calendar so that you can end this year well and start this year with momentum. Wouldn't that be amazing? So if you know me, you know I love a good agenda. Part 1, we're going to talk about the traps. Part 2 of tonight's agenda, we're going to talk about some lessons I learned from Flex Academies, my second business I sold. Part 3, we're going to go through the 5 steps for you guys, the education founders, so you can bring in the leads on repeat for winter break and beyond. We're going to go through part 4, which is how I can help you in the Ed Sales Elevation experience. And then we're going to go through Q&A. And by the way, if you have questions, and I hope you do because some people sent them ahead of time, feel free to send your questions in the comments. I won't see them now, but my team will run them through after we get into Q&A. I hope this is you, that your computer's just sending money out of your screen. And if it is you, then you should stay and enjoy. But if it's not you, we've got the 5-step sales plan to make sure winter break and beyond, your computer starts doing this for you. I want you to take a second and imagine what it would feel like if you had 3 to 5 highly qualified sales calls in your calendar each week. You don't have to look like this guy, but you got to feel like this guy. You got to feel excited. You got to feel happy. That's what it would feel like to have 3 to 5 highly qualified sales calls in your calendar each week. What do you think that would do for you? And imagine if you just closed just 2 of them a week. What would that do for your income? If you did that this fall, you could stop burning time and money on marketing, especially time and money on marketing that doesn't move the needle. You can stop stressing over where that next client comes from because that next client is going to be coming to you, and you can stop juggling everything alone because you can finally build a team. You'd finally have leads on tap, and you could be this guy who looks very much like Ken on our team. Ken has been by my side since I started this business. And while we could change this picture, we leave it in there because we think it looks like Ken. And you'd feel like you have a real business. You would feel like you know how to grow and scale your business with ease if you have 3 to 5 sales calls coming in each week that are highly qualified. And by the way, it doesn't have to just be 3 to 5. The system we're about to go through isn't capped. It could be 10, it could be 20, it could be 50 calls a week. You control your own success. The system I will share with you that is really important this time of year is going to be repeatable and scalable. Repeatable in the sense that you can bring in more leads, scalable in the sense that you could pour more gasoline on the fire once you get this puppy going. Okay? And you'll get even more results. But right now you might feel like this guy, frustrated. It can be disheartening. It can be stressful when you're looking around and you feel like everybody else knows something about lead generation that you don't in the education space. But let me tell you, most of what you heard and have heard about lead gen in the education space is wrong. In fact, if you're a fan of Seinfeld, I encourage you in most cases when it comes to lead generation in the education space to do the opposite of everything that you have been taught or everything you might think. Let's bust some myths. Myth number 1, just show up and post content consistently on social media. Yeah, that doesn't work for a few reasons. Because mainly your content might not be good. So if you just are posting it and posting it consistently, people are seeing content that is not engaging and doesn't matter to them. So you're just spinning your wheels when it comes to social media. Myth number 2, go to a bunch of conferences, talk to as many people as possible. You know what happens when you do that? First of all, you spend a lot of money going to these conferences. You get home and you've not worked on your business. And true story, you've got a bunch of business cards in your desk that you're not going to use. Honestly, guys, and let me just be true here. Many people will give you their business card just so they can walk away. I have experienced that. So have you. So just because you get a business card doesn't mean you're on your way to closing a contract. Myth number 3, pay for expensive Facebook ads and fingers crossed that they convert. That's gambling, guys. That's gambling. You're gambling maybe with a $5 bill here and a $5 bill there on a Facebook ad. But if your Facebook ads are not well written, if your offer isn't clear, if your message isn't good, then you're gambling. Myth number 4, and this is an important one, buy a list of leads and then sell to them. Don't do that. Don't do that, because that list of leads that you're buying has probably been sold and resold. It can absolutely damage your top level domain, the email address that you use, and you might not be able to email your colleague if you use that list. So I encourage you, do not buy a list and definitely do not use it. Not only does trying all this stuff suck and it keep you stuck, these methods, they are not effective. We're going to talk about why we call them slow burn methods, but what should you be doing? There is a more simpler way to generate leads, and we will share that with you today. The good news is, and we got good news, we have helped 168 plus education entrepreneurs. Actually, that number as of this evening is 172. And I'm going to help you get unstuck. How is it possible? It's possible with the Ed Sales Elevation Experience Lead Generation Blueprint, which we will share with you at the end if you'd like. And if you stay until the end, we'll actually talk through your own lead generation blueprint. So basically, we will give you your roadmap that you can use to get more leads on repeat. I want to remind everybody, we have set up a special meeting link on my calendar. My team will put that into the chat again. And if you want to meet with me to discuss the Ed Sales Elevation Experience and our next cohort coming up, you can use that special 20-minute meeting link. Who am I? I'm Josh Chernikoff. I have started, scaled, and sold 2 companies in the education space. I've got all the bumps and bruises to prove it. What I did best in both of those businesses was generate leads on repeat. I love it, and I'm happy to help you with it. We'll talk more about how I can help you as we go through this over the next hour. This masterclass is really important for people who want to do the 4 things on the screen. Now, if you're coming here and you think that you're going to get quick tips from me on how to generate any leads, you're mistaken. I am here to help you build a predictable, repeatable, scalable lead gen system that brings in a steady flow of leads. Not like this. I want you to have more ease and joy in running your business. I want you to focus on serving your clients. And I want you, if you want to spend more time with your family, or you could go golfing, or you could travel. When your business has leads on repeat, you can do those things. This will be, hopefully, the most important masterclass you watch this fall. And it is not a do-nothing masterclass. So what I encourage you to do, silence your phone, get a pen and paper. You're going to have things to write down. Ta-da! That's our daughter Camila wearing her Flex Academy shirt. And when I started Flex Academies, my second business, I started that business from ground zero. I had never sold to schools. So I've got a story to tell you before we use that pen and paper. The truth is I had no school contacts. I had very little knowledge about how you sell to schools. I had an idea of a business that sold after school enrichment. My background was working in TV in the National Football League. I worked for the Washington Redskins. So I knew nothing about the education space except that I owned a tutoring company, which was a B2C business, but I'd really never sold to schools. I really didn't know how to sell to schools. I just thought that I would reach out to people who wanted an after-school enrichment program, and they would say yes. So that's what I did. I reached out to schools that didn't have after-school enrichment programs, and guess what? They all said yes, they wanted programs. That's exciting. But straight out of the gate, I hit a really big obstacle. And the obstacle was that even though I could run a great enrichment program and I had approached schools, the parents weren't signing up for the program. And that's a big problem. When your revenue comes from parents signing up, it's a big problem when they don't sign up. And that right there could have meant the end of Flex Academies. Instead, I got curious. Why weren't the parents interested? And what I found out and realized is I had targeted schools that I thought needed what I was offering, an after-school enrichment program. But guess what? They didn't need it. They wanted it. There's a very big difference between a want and a need. The kids were already getting after-school enrichment outside of the school. And the parents weren't going to just pull their kids from the program. I get it. I got a 10-year-old kid. So I took a step back and I thought about who my ideal client was. Who was the perfect client? Who truly needed what we were offering? And I got clear on the perfect client. And today we call this the power of one. And I'm going to tell another little story real quick here. It's about you. Okay? I want you to imagine that you wash windows for a living. Okay? You wash windows for a living. Let's say you're in downtown Washington, D.C. on K Street where there's some big buildings. And you look up and you're there because you wash windows for a living. And you look at two buildings and you see one building on the left with dirty windows. And you see one building on the right with clean windows. Now, you're a business owner who cleans windows. I want to know who you talk to first. In my opinion, you should be going to talk to the building with clean windows, not to the actual building, but the person who owns the building. The reason you want to talk to that person is because they already believe in clean windows. They love the smell of a clean window. They love the feel of a clean window. So in my after-school enrichment business, instead of going to people who didn't value what I could do, they didn't have an enrichment program, I started going to people and businesses and PTAs that had enrichment programs already. They valued what we could do. We knew their problems. We could help them. So I had to make a pivot. And if you've ever seen Friends, you know that the pivot is a big thing. So we went and started working with schools that had large enrichment programs because they valued what we did for them. And I started getting the yeses. I started feeling like this dude, happy. And I see this with my clients now all the time. This is a wonderful person I met when I was speaking at the EdTech Institute in Chicago. When they start getting the yeses, they also start getting more revenue, more confidence, more clarity in their business. Fast forward, by the way, talking about my business, the Flex Academies. We ended up selling that business. I was in 82 schools in 6 states, partnering with over 500 providers, and we served tens of thousands of kids. And we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for PTAs. So that story has a happy ending. I want you to ask yourself now, am I clear on who my perfect client? Am I clear on who my perfect client is? Do they have a problem that you can solve? Is it painful enough for them that they will pay? Are they willing to give you that money? And who's the one person I need to talk to? And that's an important question. I want you to think about the one person you have to talk to, because in the education spaces, we know there are multiple stakeholders. So who's the one person you have to talk to? Do you change the life of the superintendent? Do you change the life of the principal? And depending on the answer to that question, that's who you need to speak to first, because you will transform their lives. Today, having started and scaled and sold 2 businesses in the education space, I feel like I'm pretty well positioned to help you, which is what we're going to do tonight. People ask me all the time, what helps an education business succeed versus one that might eventually not make it? To me, you need a heck of an offer that is irresistible, an offer that people hear, and Alex Hormozy will say, almost makes them feel stupid for not accepting. That's his words, not mine. And you need a lead gen system to bring people in consistently. Now, this is the great John Gamba. Yes, speaking of great, guy's got phenomenal hair. We all know that. Talked about it this morning. Talk about it all the time. One of my best buddies, co-host of Breaking the Grade, and he's a colleague and a coach of mine. Everybody should have coaches. John talks about the work that we do. I just finished working with him on the Penn GSE Milken competition. I was honored to be a sponsor of an award. And I encourage you guys to apply for the Penn GSE Milken Business Plan competition. I want to share what the 3 biggest secrets are for EdTech startups. And by the way, here's a secret. We're going to share more than 3 with you. So this is that part in the plane when you're flying, when they say, hey, we're headed to Dallas. And you say, great, I meant to go to Dallas. Hopefully you're here because you want to know about the 5-step sales plan for education founders. Let's rock and roll. First, let's talk about how you get to the perfect client and fast. So when I talk to entrepreneurs in the education space, founders, CEOs, I often get this wonderful look from this chubby-cheeked kid. People know that they want leads on repeat, but they do not know how to get them. So what I've found, entrepreneurs kind of fall into 3 buckets. We've got 3 buckets. First, they've got a great idea and no sales. And believe me, I work with a lot of folks in the education space who are educators, former, product people, maybe current. They've got the right idea, but they've got no sales. I've got a lot of people whose network is tapped out. They've tried referrals. They've tried word of mouth. That does not grow your business to where you want it to be. And then you've got those folks who are kind of sitting pretty. They're making sales, but they want more. Let's talk about these folks for a second. These are founders that can get into 1 school, 2 schools, maybe 3, maybe 5. But can they get 10, 20, or 100? A lot of these folks are scared of selling. Imposter syndrome, very real thing. They don't want to be salesy or pushy. Believe me, we don't want you to be salesy or pushy. And they're doing all of the other things that they can do to avoid selling. And we will go into what that means. Then we've got these folks, again, the ones that are kind of sitting in a good place. They want to make more sales. They want to know how to scale. And they're also feeling imposter syndrome. They don't want to be pushy or salesy. They're doing all the things to avoid selling at times. These guys are getting sales, but it's not scalable. There is a connection between those 3 buckets. All of those people need a lead generation system. Let's talk about what a lead generation system is not. Okay. It is not creating random posts for social media that no one sees. It is not just writing blogs and waiting months for somebody to come to your website. Don't just go to networking events and hand out your business cards. Again, nobody's really looking at those things. It's not buying an outdated list, because if you do that, you might be hurting your top level domain. And it's not just speaking to your network and hoping that they will bring you referrals. That is not their job. All of those methods can be good here and there, and we'll talk about how they can be, but they're not going to help you scale your business. In fact, they'll probably burn you out because they are slow burn methods. So I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs waste time and money and be stuck for way too long because they're working these slow burn methods. Again, let me remind you what the slow burn methods are. Social media marketing. A lot of times you think, I'll just put $5 down and see if this works. Guys, that's gambling. Don't do it. Let's get some PR or media coverage. Yeah, if you can do that, that's amazing. But it's very hard to get. Let's go to conferences and events. Sure, good to go to. But a lot of times you're spending money to get to those events and you're not getting the ROI. SEO and blogging. Pretty easy to do nowadays with AI. But if you're just writing and blogging and people aren't reading and what you're saying doesn't matter, then again, you're wasting your time. Paying for ads, again, gambling, referrals, they only take you so far. I've seen entrepreneurs running out of cash and they face these hard decisions. And I don't want to see that for you. That's why it's important to get fast results. And the way that we get fast results is through the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. But first, let's talk about the wonderful Matt Barinholtz. I got to know Matt Barinholtz many years ago because he was in the after-school enrichment space here in Washington, D.C. The dude could not be any nicer, but when COVID hit, his business had to make a big pivot. He had to change his product. His business was struggling, and he was into that freemium model thing. I'm not a big fan of the freemium model. And it was tough to run his business. So what he did was he took a step back, even though he had been in the business for 2 decades with me, with a cohort. He got clear on his ideal client, who they were and who they were not. And he focused on his offer. And when he got his offer right, he became the go-to in his space. And I love that for Matt. He's such a good dude. And if you want to get leads into your business fast, you've got to do one thing: hunting methods. This is what we call hunting methods. Let me tell you what a hunting method is not. It's not finding a lead and selling to them. A hunting method is not being this dude. We do not like this dude. This dude thinks you can cold email, cold call, and cold DM, that you're just going to find a lead and sell to them. That doesn't work in this industry. Or again, you end up like this dude. So cold calling, convincing people is not what you want to do. That's a big X. That's a big X. That's not what the hunting method is. But let me also tell you, when people don't want to hunt, when people don't want to actively do lead generation, they end up just sitting on the bench. And what they do on the bench is they hope that the leads will find them. And guess what? They start doing all the things so they don't have to focus on selling. Does this sound familiar? They'll update their website for the 10th or 100th time. They'll go back to product design. Listen, guys, an MVP, there's only one of them. You can't have multiple MVPs. You can't go back and work on your MVP. They take too long to get the business off the ground because they were too scared to sell. Again, I don't want you to be afraid of selling, and I don't want you to be this guy. And I want you to know there's a better way to do it without being salesy or pushy, and it is this. It is the 3E method, which we will walk through. First of all, laser targeting. I want you to figure out exactly who you can help. Not multiple stakeholders, but one stakeholder. Think about that one stakeholder that you can change their life. I want you to have magnetic messaging. What does magnetic messaging do? It is going to attract people to you. Whether that messaging is in LinkedIn, speaking on a podcast, speaking at a conference, or emailing people, people will begin to be attracted to you, and then they will see you. And they will see your credibility. So you need to boost your credibility. Places like LinkedIn are a great place to do that. So that when people come, they know that you are a subject matter expert. And what they will then say when you reach out to them is not, oh, you spammed me. They will say, yes, that is me. I could use your help. Finally, they'll book a confirmation call. And that is not a typo on the screen. Inside my team, we call it a confirmation call. What does that mean? When people book with me, we have done such a good job of reaching out to them. We have done such a good job of promoting how we can help them that it doesn't feel like there's discovery left to happen. They are confirming that I am who I say I am, and that my team, that we can do what we say we can do. So maybe it sounds like a difference in words from discovery to confirmation, but it's also a mindset. I'm not there to sell to people. I've been coaching them. I've been helping them as much as I can. They are coming to confirm that I can help them. And when you take a look at the 3E method this way, it makes perfect sense. Again, you might be at home writing this down. Take a picture of this if you want. This is the method that will help you to sell more, but it won't feel salesy or pushy. You don't want to feel like you're selling to someone. You don't want to feel like you're trying to convince someone. And when you get to have a natural conversation like I did here in Chicago, speaking at an event, that feels good for you and for your client. They actually end up selling themselves because you've been helping them already. You've given value. Your business begins to grow. Their business begins to grow. And so everybody wins. So when you follow the 3E method, this is what it feels like. You feel empowered. You build genuine connections. Instead of avoiding sales, you actually go towards them because it feels good. And you've now got a system that is not capped, that is scalable. You can feel like Rose. And you should feel like Rose, because Rose, I get to talk to Rose tomorrow. I'm very excited. Rose is fantastic. One of the nicest Canadians I know. And there's a lot of wonderful Canadians. Actually, I get to talk to 2 Canadians tomorrow, Robert Martellacci and Rose. Rose came to us with a ton of energy, an amazing business that sold to higher ed, but she wasn't necessarily getting the sales year round. So we had to help Rose. And she began to feel even more confident in her sales process because we built a system for her that felt right to her. Selling isn't a cookie cutter formula. I firmly believe that selling is very personal. And when we work with our clients, we figure out a sales formula that works for them and also works in the education space. And it doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. In fact, we have had several introverts join the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, and they make phenomenal salespeople because guess what? They listen. Introverts listen. And the key to selling is listening to your client, your superintendent, your principal, the president of a university. And what I see when I work with my clients, when I listen to them, they realize selling isn't about being salesy. I love this picture. This is what true connection feels like. I wasn't at this event to sell. I was there really to listen, and there was a true connection there. And when you stop selling, you can lead with more confidence. You can speak with more confidence, and you can be the business owner you really want to be. So I want you to ask yourself, do you have a system to get leads and clients this week? Actually, do you have it tonight? What's holding you back? What might be distracting you? Are you targeting and getting in front of the right people? Are they saying, yes, that's me? You're describing me. That's really what you want, because you've listened enough to people, a principal, a superintendent, a teacher, a president of a university. You've listened enough to understand what their challenges are and how you can help them. And are you building relationships and sharing an offer that they actually need? Let's talk about step 2. How do you laser target? Again, back to hunting methods. We're going to talk about the number one way, we believe, to hunt, and that's LinkedIn. Now, I want you to do this. Google yourself. Don't be afraid. Just do it. And when you do Google yourself, you'll probably end up like me here. Number 2 that comes up is LinkedIn. And when people look at your profile, your LinkedIn profile, what do they see? It could look like this. This is not a bad profile. I don't even know who this person is, but this is not an amazing profile, okay? This is actually filled, if you got a chance to look more closely, that this is filled as a standard resume. I want your profile to look like Toy Hirschman's. Toy joined one of our, it was probably, maybe it was cohort number 1 or 2. Toy's amazing. Toy has this professional banner that Ken on our team built for her. Great picture, looking right at the camera. She's got this great bio, and she's got this great headline. It is circled right there. And we're going to talk more about the headline, because your headline needs to speak directly to people about how you can help them, what methods you use, and what results you have gotten for people. Oh, how about this LinkedIn profile? Hopefully you like mine too. We've got a banner, we've got a photo, we've got our headline there. I help companies do what, using what method, get which results. That is something for you to write down. Ken, Alvin, we got to update this because I'm over 10,000 followers. Your LinkedIn profile, when it is set up right, it should be an instant credibility boost for you. People are going to say, this person knows me already. This is somebody I want to connect with, even though I've never really met them, because if you reach out to them cold, you might not have met them, but I want to learn from them, with them. You might be saying, wait, Josh, hold on. LinkedIn is a social media platform. And I don't know, you might be right. LinkedIn is also a place where people are there to do business. Superintendents, principals, teachers, presidents of universities, pre-K to gray. These folks are there not to be entertained, not to see what you did over the weekend, what sporting event you went to, what you drank. That stuff is for Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to follow me on Instagram and Facebook, that's awesome. I like to go out. I like to go to sporting events, but I'm not going to put that on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a platform for thought leadership. Did you know that only 4% of people on LinkedIn actually post? So if you began to leverage LinkedIn as a place where you could post and gain the confidence of the people around you, you wouldn't be competing with many people, because only 4% of people on LinkedIn create. So now you're thinking, okay, Josh, you just said that I don't have to create a ton of content. Isn't that a slow burn method? You're kind of right. Okay. I'm not saying you have to create all the time, but LinkedIn is a great search platform. And when you are writing the right material, you really only have to talk about probably 5 to 8 topics over and over again. So if you know how to leverage AI, well, AI can help with that. By the way, another did you know? There's 129,000 schools on LinkedIn pre-K to gray. Amy Porterfield, she's amazing. You should listen to her podcast. She says you just need to own your corner of the internet. And I say you just need to own your corner of the education space. If you owned 1% of 129,000 schools in the next 12 months, 12 weeks, you'd be pretty happy. So LinkedIn is a very powerful hunting tool. You could hunt Susan Gold, by the way. Susan Gold was a member of the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, an amazing principal. She ran the Feynman School in Rockville, Maryland. You could find Susan Gold and you could reach out to her. She was on LinkedIn a lot. You could also join her school principal network. And I'm not saying join this school principal network and start posting and commenting about your program. You need to join and start to build your credibility inside that group. LinkedIn is kind of like the old school Yellow Pages. So can you see how powerful a tool LinkedIn can be? That's how easy it is to begin to target your ideal clients. You can do it through a tool like LinkedIn, one that you already know very well. And there are other powerful tools that we can talk about offline if you want to learn, if you're one of those people like me that loves tool after tool after tool. I want you to see again how powerful it is to get in front of your ideal clients and to start building relationships with them. Let me emphasize that again. This is not about LinkedIn contact to contract. This is about building relationships with people using LinkedIn. Catherine, the doll of Washington, D.C. She was a member of the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. And she was anti-LinkedIn. Truly anti-LinkedIn. Of course, she had a profile, but she was anti-LinkedIn. She came to the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, and leads that had gone cold, we've all been there, people who had ghosted her popped back up again for her because she started posting. Catherine started showing people that she's a subject matter expert on LinkedIn. She showed people who she stands with through connections. She showed people who are commenting on what she's saying. By the way, Catherine just got funded. So there is a path from being Catherine to being in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience to leveraging LinkedIn to getting funded. And granted, you got to do a lot of good stuff in between. Catherine's a rock star. This works if you're just getting started. This works to get in front of your ideal clients, your perfect client. You also need to have this part, number 3, the ability to boost your credibility. Why does this matter? Because when you boost your credibility, you can be like me. Scared shitless. That's me. I'm holding it together. But I was talking at DC Startup Week in a very large auditorium in front of a lot of people. And when you boost your credibility and when you're out there talking to people and showing that you're a subject matter expert, it gives you more opportunities to speak. Before a buyer agrees to a call, they're going to say, can I trust this person? Are they legit? And when you have been posting, when you have been speaking at conferences, on podcasts, they know that you are legit, and that is boosting your credibility. Without credibility, outreach will feel cold. Now you're saying, how do I get in front of these people? How do I generate these speaking opportunities? Well, first of all, you got to work your tail off. I had 3 opportunities to speak last year, and I've had 17 so far this year. What you've got to do is you've got to have a great LinkedIn profile. Your banner, your profile picture, your headlines got to speak to people. You've got to have a great brand. Your brand needs to grab attention. It needs to be professional, and you've got to make a great first impression. Your brand is really who you are. And I believe in the LinkedIn space. I believe in the education space. People buy from people first, not your company. You guys might not even know that my company is the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. You might be here because you've seen me or we've interacted on LinkedIn. Your headline. I help who, using what method, get which results. Have a powerful headline. Actually, now that I think of it, Catherine and I started our relationship. She reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, can I work on my headline with you? So I will extend that invitation to you. If you want to work on your headline with me, let's do it through LinkedIn. That would be fantastic. You also need to have a very good profile picture. This is Dr. T. She was in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. Her picture is professional, she's approachable, and she's got credibility. If you take away one thing about the picture, look at the camera and smile. You also need to post to build credibility. When you post, you build credibility and you control your narrative. You can talk to people about how you can help them. And you will understand by the reactions, not the first post, not the second, maybe the 20th, maybe the 30th, maybe the 40th, what resonates with your perfect client. Your story is your strategy to help people. Your story is your strategy to connect with people. This is my story. This is my story recently, especially the one in the middle. That's a picture of my father from him at the Grand Canyon in the 1960s. I've been telling this story very recently because my father passed away on June the 9th. And people might think that, well, LinkedIn is not a place to tell this story. Well, I think it is. And the people that I've connected with about grief, about trying to run a business while you're experiencing loss, those people would argue differently. I would argue differently. I have been able to connect with people and help them through their challenges, just like they have helped me through my challenge of grief since June 9th over LinkedIn. And I have been able to relate losing my father to running a business because I thought as an entrepreneur, we have problems, we solve them. You have grief, you solve it, but that's not the way it works. So I encourage you on LinkedIn to share your story. Let people get to know you. Let people get to know you because they buy from you. Here's Grace. Grace has an amazing story. She came to the Ed Sales Elevation Experience with no business, literally no business. She had been teaching for 15 years in New York City. COVID hit. She moves her family to South Dakota, says, I want to start a business. We got connected. She started her business, The Lesson Laboratory. She didn't even have literally an EIN. We helped her get one. Grace focused on LinkedIn. She had 15 years to leverage of being a teacher. And that worked really well for her on LinkedIn. Step 4, you don't just want the leads, you want the sales. So let's talk about how you get the sales. You can't just go from a connection to being a client. The key to getting your perfect client to actually buy is to clearly communicate with them They need to say, heck yeah, that's me. And how do they do that? They do that through very clear messaging that gets them not to open your email, not to open your message, not to listen to you, but to reply. So you have to know what to say to take somebody from a connection to a lead, to a call, to sold. David Dworkin, he did that extremely well. He was very clear on his offer with his business, Higher Cause. Before he was a member of the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, he was kind of stuck inside New York City running his business. He started to leverage LinkedIn. He created a powerful signature solution. He took that signature solution to ERDI. Look it up. Phenomenal institute that I'm a member of. And David was able to expand outside of New York City because he clearly communicated to superintendents what Higher Cause could do for their school district. So how do you do that? You create your own signature solution. The signature solution is this very clear visual roadmap. The signature solution speaks to a very clear niche about how you can help your perfect client. The signature solution is unique. Honestly, you're the only person in the world who has this method. And it focuses on benefits, not how you do what you do, but why you do what you do and what happens for your perfect client when you work with them. When you do the signature solution right, you stand out. When you do the signature solution right, you become the best choice possible for your perfect client. And when you do the signature solution right, you do not feel icky. You do not feel salesy. To quote my coach, Tony. And the best part of that signature solution is that once you have that right, once you have your offer right, it becomes a marketing machine. And then you're going to need to start automating. As I said, we only had 3 secrets. We've actually got 5. Number 5 is the power of automation. So most founders that we work with, they lose deals because they are manually following up. They are missing leads. They might be using a spreadsheet or maybe a piece of paper. And they're doing too many repetitive tasks that should be done by a CRM. Again, the results that we find from people, they lose deals, they waste time, and they don't get any momentum in their sales. Momentum is a very real thing. I believe momentum is very real. And I've seen it with the 168 founders we've worked with. So what automation can do for you is it can nurture every lead, it can send a follow-up, and it can personalize at scale. Let's talk about 4 automations, okay? The first one, pre-built calendars. As you guys know, I've got one. We have a special calendar link that Alvin, I believe, has been sharing because I can't see the chat right now because I'm focused on this. And your calendar can look like mine. That's mine inside High Level. We build CRMs for our clients, but honestly, CRMs are commodities. So whatever CRM you use, you need pre-built calendars. Second, you need sequences that nurture, not sequences that sell. You need sequences that coach people. You want people, your perfect client, to come to you and say, I feel like you've been helping me for a while now. It just so happens that now I have the time and the money to pay for your solution. That could be a principal. That could be a superintendent. That could be a coach or a consultant. That could be the president of a university. You need to have pipeline views because you want to be able to move people through your pipeline very clearly and understand where they are. For example, mine, we have leads who become contacts. They go from a contact to a confirmation call, from a confirmation call to a self-identification call, which you guys might call a strategy call, but we call it a self-identification call. And then most of them go to the contract phase. But it's okay if they don't go to the contract phase, because we've got this top of funnel that is filled with phenomenal clients. So when the time is right and the money is right for them, yes, they will move to that contract phase. And you need smart list. A smart list helps you identify where you met people. For example, all of you are on a smart list now for us that is from this masterclass. So we can know exactly where you came from. We will tag you, and then we will know how to reach out to you, because hopefully you're here to learn about leads, specifically at the beginning of the school year, and we can talk to you about that. When you've got a system in place, your business will scale. Without systems, your business won't scale. When you have systems, you have more consistency. You're going to have these higher conversion rates, and you will spend less time trying to sell to people. Now, today I've been walking you through the 3E method. Let me give you a refresher of it. The 3E method is 1/9 of my signature solution. In my signature solution, the way I work with my clients is I take them from a steady flow of leads, from a 0 leads to a steady flow of leads. Some cases from a steady flow of leads to a heavy flow of leads. This is my signature solution. If you want, book a meeting for 20 minutes. I'll walk you through it. And I'll show you how we can take you from 0 leads to a steady flow of leads. This is specifically built for education companies. Now, Corey, Chris, Jesse from Rocket PD, they're all literally rock stars in the education space. They've been selling for many years in the education space. They came to the Ed Sales Elevation Experience because they needed to try and do something a little bit different, because they've been selling for the same people the same way for too long. Very quickly, they tried our Raise Your Hand framework. Very quickly, they tried LinkedIn. And very quickly, I would say this is quick, within 30 days, they teed up 20 new appointments. We can do that for you. Meet my friend Ernie Delgado, Beyond Technology Education. Guy's been at this for decades. He's in Pasadena, California. Super nice guy. His results were inconsistent. His effort was not. Works his tail off. Ernie was deep in his business. And he knows, and I believe this, when you are inside the bottle of your business, it is hard to see the label. So Ernie came out. Ernie came out of the bottle in one of our cohorts and began to understand his business better. And what happened was that Ernie created a phenomenal signature solution, showed it to 10 principals, and as you can read, not a single one said no, because they finally understood Ernie's offer. So during the last, let's just say 50 minutes or so, we've covered 3 secrets. Really, we've covered 5 to building a lead generation engine. So let's just do a real quick recap. 1, ideal client, power of 1, super important. I want you guys to go from slow burn to hunting. I want you to leverage LinkedIn and laser target. Create a great signature solution. What is your offer? What is your transformational offer? And build a system that gets you leads on repeat. You might be saying, like this guy, Michael Scott, oh, wow. This feels like a lot. I get it. You don't know what to do next. What are the next steps? And what should you do first? And that's not a good feeling. But we put together an offer, and I'm going to walk you through it. So we are transitioning, everybody, into the sales portion of the masterclass. And I really hope you stick around. I really do. But I understand it's late in the East. It's 8:01. But let's talk a little bit about the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, how you can get a steady flow of high quality leads coming into your business. So I'm going to spend 5 to 10 minutes. I promise that's it. And then we're going into Q&A. Okay. So we can help you set up a lead generation system, and we can do that as quickly as possible. This is your invitation to the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. We've got 9 modules. Look at this from bottom left to top right. First thing we're going to do is we're going to think about your perfect client, not your ideal client. This isn't ICP work. Your perfect client as it pertains to your education business. Again, I focus only on education businesses. You can now read modules 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 9. When we get to 9, we're going to help you scale. We're going to bring in these leads at scale. You can do it yourself. I'm going to teach you how to fish for the right leads. But then when it comes to scaling, we can bring in hundreds of the right leads each month for you. We also have 9 intimate group coaching calls. When you join the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, and by the way, the next one takes place starting on October the 14th at 10 o'clock Eastern, you will be able to join us over 12 weeks for 9 intimate group coaching calls, and they last for an hour and a half. If you miss one here and there, that's okay. We record them. That's your chance to sit around with people like Rose, like Grace, like Jerry, like Toy, and their other education founders. And this is one of the things that people actually really love about the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. And I think sometimes I don't go deep enough into it. You get to join a community. And I guarantee you, Rose has a ton of friends. Now she's got a community of education founders that she relies on day in and day out. Brent, he's got a ton of friends. He's a great dude. He joined the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. Love the guy, except for the fact that he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. We won't hold that against him. We brought accountability to Brent's life and to his business. You've got Grace. As I said, she was just getting started. She joined the community. I love this quote. If I had a quote board, I'd put it up. From Catherine: collegiality and collaborativeness among CEOs is invaluable. And that is what we do in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. We build a community where that is what is happening. People are helping people. Kyle Schaefer, Zara Music, Dallas, one of our clients, fantastic guy. He joined the Ed Sales Elevation Experience and made contacts to expand his business. Brett Isaacson runs basketball programs out in Utah. He joined the Ed Sales Elevation Experience and he began to grow his business. Ran a summer camp that was out of this world this past summer. Sean Tuck, good friend of mine. Guy runs Young Ninjas. He dominates LA when it comes to after school enrichment for martial arts. And after the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, he dominates it even more. This is everything you need to be successful with your lead gen. We've already laid it out for you, and I'm going to lay it out again. You're going to have 9 group intimate coaching calls. We give you outreach message templates. We help you with your LinkedIn profile. Heck, we basically do it for you. And we design your signature solution. And by the way, the cost is not $94.96. In fact, the cost right now, and I say right now, the cost is $3,000. The cost right now is $3,000 because we have 2 slots left for people to pay $3,000 for the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. And when those 2 slots are gone, it goes to $3,500. So if you are interested in the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, and I hope you are, go to joshchernicoff.com/go and grab one of those spots. Now, I want to make this thing clear. I am not extra special, but that cinnamon bun I'm eating there, chowing on with my eyes closed, in Copenhagen. That was extra special. I just happen to have a proven blueprint that I follow every single time, and I have taught 168 companies in the education space how they can generate leads using this blueprint. If I can do it, you can. You have two options right now. Your first option, do nothing. Okay. Your second option is to make a small investment today and look at the value that you get in return. Now, we want 10 companies to join our next cohort, 2 people per company. If you think you're one of those companies and you have questions, again, I am sure Alvin has put in the chat the 20-minute meeting link. I'm happy to meet with you and to talk more about why the Ed Sales Elevation Experience is going to be a game changer for you. And I can also tell you your results are going to be guaranteed. Yes, it kind of feels cheesy for me to say that, but it's true. When you take the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, when you make that investment of time and money, I guarantee your results if you show up. If you do the work, we will make sure that you will get 3 of your highest converting, highest quality clients to speak to you, and we will get them to close together. So you have got some built-in ROI with a guarantee. We've got this fast action bonus. If you sign up in the next 24 hours, you will get an additional 90 minutes with me. Now, you may not want to spend 90 straight minutes with me, and I get that. So if you want to break that up into 2 45-minute sessions or 3, there's my math, 30-minute sessions, that's fine too. What we will do is get you ahead in this process. Of course, you have to sign up for the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. So we are going to move now to the Q&A section of our masterclass. And I know that there were some people who said they weren't going to be able to make it to the masterclass. So I believe Ken, I believe Alvin on our team took some questions from a few folks. So guys, as we move into the Q&A, there it is. There they are. Here's some of the questions. We answered some of these this morning, but let's do them again. When you see dozens of leads, yet convert none, what's usually broken in your sales system? That is a great question. Unfortunately, it could be a few things. First of all, it could be that you're not clear on your perfect client. We can help you with that. It could be that you don't have the credibility that you need yet for people to trust you to buy from you. We can work on that. It could be that your offer is not clear enough. Your offer needs to be irresistible and crystal clear. So we do spend time working on your offer. It could be your messaging. If people are opening your emails, and by the way, I think open rates are a little bit smoke and mirrors, but people are opening your emails, but they're not replying, then your messaging has an issue. So those are some reasons that your sales system might be broken. Let's go for another question. How do you re-engage leads who ghosted you in the spring? You don't want to sound desperate. Okay, good question. You can re-engage these folks using LinkedIn. You can re-engage these folks by going on a podcast or speaking at a conference. How do you do that? On LinkedIn, you can comment on something they might post. Maybe they're not on LinkedIn. If you get a chance to speak, I don't know, at a conference, write it up. Let your network know that you got a chance to speak, and you can send an email to somebody and say, hey, just wanted to let you know I got a chance to speak at this particular conference. You're popping back up into their inbox without asking them for anything. You're not sounding desperate. In fact, you're sounding confident. So that is one way to re-engage those leads that ghosted you in the spring. What else we got? In September and October, what's the shift in school buying behavior you must adapt to? How do you adapt? The shift is that Potentially, people aren't really buying in the education space pre-K to gray during September and October, and that's okay. What you should be thinking about, and you must adapt to, is that this is your chance to establish your credibility. This is your chance to help them. Offer to help. Don't try and sell. Resist the temptation. Just reach out and say, how can I help you? I am an expert on reading literacy. How can I help you? I'm an expert in professional development for teachers who are new to teaching. How can I help you? Just offer to help. That should be how you adapt. And then as you get into January, February, March, you can maybe talk to them about your program. As you get into March, April, May, you can potentially put a contract in front of them. But for now, the way you adapt is just being helpful. What else you got, Alvin? Most founders struggle to scale outreach without sounding robotic. What's your approach to personalization and automation? For me, what it is to being genuine. Again, there are really only 5 to 8 topics that I talk about that matter to my perfect client. And as I talk about those things over and over again, I get more confident talking about them. I get more clear talking about them. So I don't sound robotic. I literally have nothing in front of me. I'm not reading from notes. Yes, I practiced this masterclass. Yes, I've done it before. But I'm very confident and clear in what I know. And when you narrow your scope, when you narrow your perfect client, when you narrow the topics that you talk about, then you can become very confident, very clear, and not robotic. Alvin, do we have any more questions? We got one more. What metrics should you track weekly to make sure your pipeline is healthy? The metrics you should be looking at are not only booked calls, but you want to look at, are those calls highly qualified? Then you want to look at, are people showing up to your calls? Then you want to look at how good those calls were. Begin to grade calls. Then what you want to do is see how fast people move through your pipeline. So at that point, if they close, you've understood how long it took them to go from a lead to a contract. Those are some metrics you should be thinking about. It's 8:14, 8:15 here in the East. We're going to wrap everything up here. I appreciate everybody who showed up at our masterclass this morning. I appreciate everybody who showed up at the masterclass this evening. I appreciate the 6 people who are still with us at the end. That's awesome. You know that you can book with me. We have that link there. It is a special link, which means that you will get priority in my calendar because we need to book people for the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. I want to thank my team. I want to thank Alvin, who is running his first masterclass and did a phenomenal job and probably needs to sleep until Sunday. I want to thank Ken, who helped Alvin, and Ken is always there to help people on our team. I want to thank Samya, who helped put together a phenomenal masterclass. And yes, she's the one that's been helping send those emails that you're getting every single day. There's Aurelie in Mexico, Kim in the Philippines, and Michael in the Philippines. They also helped out. I want to thank everybody who joined. I want to thank my team. I'm going to go to sleep now. And I hope in the morning I'm going to wake up and people are going to be ready to talk about the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. Thank you guys for joining. Everybody have a great night, or depending on where you are, have a great morning. Thank you.